We don't have a gavel, so I can't call us to order, but it is a little after 6. And one of the, I think, hallmarks of good not to have feedback. There you go. In there with the white.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so how are you? Go ahead and that's all right. Quick. If we start on time, we can end on time. And as the mom takes his I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. My name is Jonathan Lyle. I'm the 5th District Supervisor. Many of you may be asking, where's Ken Peterson? For 12 years, Ken did represent the 5th District, and last year he term limited himself. So,
what's your name again? What's a board member for you? It's Robinson.
Quick background, I've been in the county for 30 years, 35 actually. I moved here in 1990. There were no traffic signals. Everybody got the groceries at the Town and Country IGA. And there were more tax shops than there were fast food restaurants. So the county has changed over the last 35 years. And I think in a lot of ways, a good way. Prior to joining the board, I was one of the countywide conservation directors. I spent 12 years representing the county in those areas of agriculture. I'm also a regional farm bureau director. I've been in the commercial business arena, mostly in advertising and marketing. I did database marketing for banks and financial services companies. The last 12 years, I got to work with Virginia Tourism and VDOT in promoting tourism here in Virginia at the Welcome Centers and Restaurants. I can tell you the slogans: whatever you love on vacation, you can find it in Virginia. Love is at the heart of every Virginia vacation. Tonight, Vic Carpenter is going to give us an overview. It's kind of a 30,000-foot overview of what the state of the county is circa 2024. It's not going to be high detail. We're not going into the budget. We're not going to talk a lot about specific rezoning that may be going on, but you'll get a sense of where we are. Every question is appropriate. There will be an opportunity to ask questions. So if something isn't covered tonight, but you want to ask about center lines on a certain road, why they're dotted instead of solid, that's a fair question, and you're certainly entitled to take that on. You're also going to hear from Ellen Robinson, who is the 5th District School Board member, and she's going to introduce Dr. Cromartie, who is our superintendent of schools. I want to also recognize that tonight we have another member of the Board of Supervisors, Neil Spoonhour. We have Delegate David Owen, who represents the eastern part of Houston. I want to make sure. And Wayne Cosby, who is the 5th District member on the Planning Commission. That's where all the excitement started. So when you got an issue that involves zoning, Wayne's business cards are available. Call him first and call me. And I do want to say that I am your representative. I am not someone who can solve all of your issues or problems, but I certainly want to be aware of. I'm a public servant. If I might humbly say, I'm the best public servant you're going to get for $6.13 an hour. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Carpenter. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lyle. So I guess you almost got a pay raise if it's up to $6 an hour. Well, welcome. Not again. I want to thank everybody for being here to go ahead and play upon what Mr. Lyle was saying. It's great to see people coming out that are interested. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Goochland County tonight. And we're going to start by, this is a town hall meeting. We're doing 4 of these this fall. They're the locations. You can come to any and all of them. We love to see people there, different parts of the county, as you can see going on through. But this is our very first one for the county for this fall time. We're going to go through presentation, the school, and then questions. Again, you're like Mr. Lyle said, questions are always appropriate, always good, and we look forward to them. So what we're doing is we're working for you. And I want to kind of, the Board of Supervisors have made very clear priorities to them, to the county. And these are in no particular order because they're all important to them. But from financial excellence and core services, public safety, keeping Goochland rural, low taxes, and a quality education. Those are the things that they find fundamentally important about who we are and what we are as a community. And we start with that by how we're performing. There's an example right there of state and national recognition of our staffs, the awards to our economic development and our finance department. Quality programming, quality services, quality people that work for you. Some things we're doing locally that we've done recently, SIS we call it, the Southeastern Infrastructure Study. Now this study is in response to concerns about its growth is coming to this county, how it impacts us, and how we consider the decisions we make. So the board authorized this study. It's currently underway, and the purpose of it is to support the goal of the county to target appropriate development in areas, to make sure that when we put something in the area that we consider our ability for roads, for water, for sewer, for fire, for public safety, for schools. So there you see some of the things that we analyze in the infrastructure. This is unique and specific to that area in the green circle, basically a circle around Patterson and 288, where we see a lot of growth coming in the future, and desire to make sure that as the growth happens, that we don't find ourselves behind the curve in providing the resources needed for infrastructure. Specifically, you see we modeled 3 different possible alternatives. One, if it happens according to what the comp plan says. One, if it's more a mixed use future with single family, multifamily, retail. And one, if it's more an economic development focus. So that allows us to see different impacts. If you put an apartment complex in with 200 units, what's that going to do to our school district? If you put a industrial facility, what's that going to do to our fire department? So all these things are considered into that. We're going to be providing a report to the board December, and at that point, it'll be something we'll be able to use going forward. Another example of what we're doing are countywide transportation improvements. Specifically, areas that people are very interested in is the growth along I-64. And you see the Ashton Road I-64, the Divergent Diamond. You might have heard of that, the DDI, the Divergent Diamond Interchange. Construction engineering is already underway. We anticipate, again, an interstate project always takes a long time. So we anticipate completion in 2031. Now, if you don't know what a DDI is, if you've been designing crossroads in that part, that's a DDI. It's a diamond, it reverses traffic, the flow is safer, faster, and it'll help us significantly up there. Another one is the same area, is the Ashland Road Park and Ride, and that's already underway. It should be completed in November of 28. Now, around here, things that are important to us, the Hockett Road realignment. If you take Hockett Road headed north, you got the little zigzag that you have to follow to get to the interstate. When that's completed, as you'll see, it'll have a connector straight to, that'll get you to the interstate through a roundabout. The stoplight will still stay there to get you to the food line, so you can keep going to the food line that way, or take the new, the realignment and up to the interstate. And then the Route 288 interchange study. That's something that's underway right now. It's just determining 20 years in the future about the potential for having another interchange on Route 288. So those are some of the transportation projects we're looking at around here. If you look over here, another one, if you have gotten off on I-64 at Oilville, that can be a mess sometimes. Traffic backs up to the interstate. So underway right now, funded, is a project that'll put a new roundabout when you get off there, and that should be completed in February of 28 is the plan right now. Fairground Road extension, if you had been in the courthouse area lately, you have of course seen that the roundabout is now underway. It's open. But we were not able to finish it all the way to Highway 6, so that big red circle shows now we're underway to go ahead and complete Fairgrounds Road to Highway 6. That'll move traffic much quicker, much safer. It'll take away traffic going through the stoplight, heading into the courthouse as well. Again, February 28. And then in that same area, if you've ever been to the farmers market, you'll see we're working on a crosswalk right there. And that crosswalk is a pretty small project, very important, as we have so many activities and events in that area of the county, and people park and they cross. It's not a really safe place to cross. So that's going to really be completed by the end of this year, we hope. So what are some things going on around here as well? Well, utilities. The force main, those of you who live in this area certainly remember when the sewer main burst some years back. So we had to go in and we had to do some major work on replacing the force main, the sewer main there along Patterson in the county. It is substantially completed already. Now, those of you in Randolph Square know it's not fully complete. We're still doing the final work to get that done. But it should be completed by the end of this year, early January, maybe the latest. So that's well done on this way. If you live in Huguenot Hills, that was one of the neighborhoods that didn't have water sewer. It's been extended to them. Again, we've already started. We've substantially completed most of that work. Those people who need the grinder pumps, again, as you see, we started them this month as well to get in the grinder pumps. So that'll put Huguenot Hills into the system and take them off their own wells and private septic systems. Moving into our public safety, some things we've done lately. Most recently, our fire and rescue opened up a new burn building. Now, the county had a burn building for a number of years, many, many years, and at some point, it outlived its usefulness. So we could no longer use it for live fire. We could still use it for training, but we couldn't use it for live fire. Well, thanks to a grant that we received from the state and the county matching and putting in, we opened that just last month for this live fire burn building. And it's giving us the potential now for training that we haven't had in a number of years. And it's a great thing to have. Also, you see below, a new tanker was received for Station 6. We have another tanker coming in November as well. So that's 2 new tankers that the county has purchased for our fire and rescue departments. I'm going to talk to you about our animal shelter. Of course, we've got one of the best well-known animal shelters in this region, and you'll get to see our little friends over there on the left. We always like to show them. One of the things we're known for is we are recognized as a no-kill shelter. Animals that come into Goochland County, they go home with someone. That's one of the things that we're well known for and famous. Economic development is another that we're focusing on and working on. So for example, the board just approved on Tuesday night due diligence that allows us to increase focusing our ability to put some resources into some of our available properties to make them more attractive to economic development. They have different tiers, and the higher tier you are, the more attractive you are to economic development. Why is that important? It's critically important because if the county doesn't grow with appropriate economic development, then all the growth is forced to be on the homeowners and the property taxes. And the board doesn't want that. We want to get to the point where we're approximately 70% residential and 30% economic development, commercial, industrial. Right now, we're not there yet. So the more we can do that, the less of a burden that is placed on our homeowners and our property owners. Also doing a water and sewer feasibility study and other studies in there. This is just important to prepare us so we can continue to move in that direction. One of the things coming up is a tire amnesty and a document shredding, November 16th from 9 o'clock to 1 at the fairgrounds site there in the courthouse. Any of your documents you can bring. That's become, in fact, last year it overwhelmed us. We were surprised we had so many people bring documents. So this year we're going to have twice as many people, twice as many trucks on site so we can take it. Also this year, in addition to tires, we're taking ag tires. So farm tires. That's one of the big problems we've had. If you've got a farm, if you've got horses, anything like that, those are unique kind of tires. What do you do with them? Well, you can bring them here and we can handle them. There's no cost. I mean, there's limits. You can't bring 100, but there are limits in that respect. But there's no cost to bring them in, and I encourage that anybody bring their stuff there. Here's Carter. Carter's one of our little friends at the animal shelter. He's available, friendly, neutered, and house-trained. So am I, but... You know. So now let's talk about connecting our community and things that we do. One of the important things of this county has been getting the ability for our citizens all to have access to fiber, to high-speed internet. That's been determined as one of the most critical infrastructures that can be provided in the modern era. Most everything these days happens over the internet, and if you don't have it, you're well behind, you're not able to keep up. So this part of the county is mostly covered. So we're fortunate in that respect. So this isn't necessarily as important to anybody who has it, but you see on the left side of that map, all those areas that didn't have anything. So the board worked several years ago with the state, with our local co-ops, with Dominion Power, and all those areas that you see covered are under programs. The blue areas already have it. So some of the more remote areas of this county already have high-speed fiber. Green areas about to, yellow areas are well underway, and the pink areas are just starting. We would certainly hope and expect that by 25, 26, almost the entire county will have access to your high-speed internets. If you live in the Crozier area, then please, that is a great story, because there's so many places in this country that won't be able to say that. Crozier's got already for a while now, too, so if you live in that area. What else is coming up? Well, you know, whenever I talk to people, I always make it clear that when I came here, one of the first things that occurred to me was just like living in a Hallmark movie. And that's the way Goochland is. There's always something great going on, something that just reminds you of home and growing up. So here's some of the events we have. Our Fall Festival coming up, October 26, 11 to 2, over there in the courthouse area. The Holiday Market is going to be at Central High School. Our tree lighting, December 6th. And Comic Fest, which is pop culture over at Central High School. So comic books, those kind of modern pop culture. It's a great event. Additionally, our fire rescue show is coming up on the 12th. So that's coming up next week. But this Saturday, there's going to be a ribbon cutting at Station 5 in the courthouse. Now, the Fire and Rescue Association, the Volunteer Association, owns all but one of our fire departments. And they've been renovating them all for the last year, and they're finally finishing with their last one. So we encourage everybody to come out, 11 to 2, ribbon cutting at noon. Our Sheriff's Office, also October 26th, is taking its drug take back. Older I get, the more legal drugs I seem to have in my house, the doctor prescribes me. As you get rid of them, as you need to get rid of them, you can bring them back. So your unwanted prescription drugs, please bring them out and get rid of them. Don't flush them down a toilet. That's the worst thing you can do. So please bring them back. More events coming up. Over there on the right, on November 2nd at Tuckahoe Plantation, it's going to be a major event. The General Marquis de Lafayette came to Goshen County 200 years ago on November 2nd. So there's going to be a big ceremony and celebration of that as part of our 250th celebration of the American Revolution. Again, the other side of the county, October 19th, Roswick. If you haven't been there, it's a great place to go. Great festival, probably the biggest tourist event we have in the county. 50,000 people are going to come for that. As well as our Explore Goochland, which goes on, which gives you the opportunity to find places you can go, things you can do. Cozy couple getaways, there are a variety of pre-planned itineraries, and you can find that online. And how do you find online? Well, here's how we start. If you go online and you get our Shop Local app, and I'm going to be talking about a lot about apps now. So the Shop Local app is only focused on Goshen County businesses. And if you participate, that our EDA has sponsored it, and you download it when you shop at one of the participating businesses, all you got to do is put your receipt in, and then you'll get a 5% cash back on it. So it encourages us to shop local. Also, the Open Rewards, you see that talks about it right there. Pancake. There's a little sweetheart, isn't she? So that's what's going on today. What are we going forward? Well, we're starting the budget process already. Dr. Cromartie and I have had a number of conversations, and we'll be having more as we go in through, but specifically the formal process has already started. Now you may say, didn't you just approve a budget? And we did. Unfortunately, we've got to start almost as soon as we finish with the next one. So we'll be holding those meetings, presentation to the board in February. Then we'll have town halls, again, probably out here in March, public hearings and budget adoption. Really want to encourage you, as you have thoughts of what's important to you, let your supervisors know. Let us know. There's, as you fill it out, hopefully information when you checked in. That'll give us the ability to reach out to you, and I'll tell you about it a little bit in a second, how you can sign up. But your input is critical to us to know what's important to you when we build a budget. But here's the things that we're doing right now with it. Of course, education was huge. July, we opened up our new Goochland Elementary School. Dr. Martin will probably mention that. Our Sheriff's Department got new vehicles, Fire and Public Safety did, and facilities, courthouse. We've well now started the planning for building the next courthouse that'll last another 200 years in Goochland. Tourism, another thing that's going on. The state of Virginia says that about 633 jobs in Goochland are benefited or supported by tourism with about a $3 million impact on taxes. So that's your restaurants, hotel, bed and breakfast, Airbnbs, it's your wineries, it's your breweries. It's anything that people come through this county and come to visit us for. It has an impact. It has a very real impact on us. You know what else does? Buying gas. A few years back, the General Assembly created the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. And what that allows us to do is that a local gas tax is collected, which that money significantly stays here. So we're already $9.2 million has been collected for local projects. Going back to those road projects I was talking about, significantly, something that wouldn't have happened without that right there. So when you fill up your car with gas, please do it in Goochland. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. There's tag along. Look at that. So how do we keep you involved? That's important. Keeping you involved. You're here. Well, the first thing, let's talk about important dates. Coming up with the election. Right now, you can already early vote. That's over behind the General Services building, the County Administration building, and that's going on now. You can register to vote to the 15th. Again, you can read that. Critical days, of course, it's election day itself. But if you do come, one of the things that we've done this year is we've added a new precinct that is in the Avery Point area. It doesn't directly affect probably y'all per se, but adding another precinct is a sign of our growth, and it gives us the better ability to serve more people in this county. Other ways you can get involved, again, come here, volunteer, vote, run for office. You know, submit interest in, yeah, no, right, who would do that? Submit an interest in serving as a board or on a commission to the Board of Supervisors. Well, how does that happen? Well, you start by getting involved, first by downloading the Sheriff's app. How many of y'all do have the Sheriff's app? Okay, not every phone or not every hand was raised. It's a very important app, and if for no other reason, with the recent weather events we've had, when roads are closed, it'll tell you right away that this road has been closed. And if you've ever been headed to I-64 or 288 and you got stuck in traffic there, you're like, gosh, I wish I knew that road was closed. So that's a great app to have for that. Another one is Code Red. Code Red is just like it implies, for really, truly critical things. Tornado warnings, when the water main broke and there was no water for a brief period of time. Things like that will notify you and say that this is what's happened. That's how we keep you abreast and informed. So you really should have that downloaded on your phone as well. Other ways, the county app. If you download the county app, then you can sign up for alerts and notifications. And that's important because if you want to keep track of certain things we do in the county, say planning and zoning, you want to know about zoning issues, whatever, it'll notify you that. You can kind of go down the checklist and pick the things you want to be notified about. Also, go ahead and subscribe. Every week we put out a newsletter that tells you about in greater detail what's happened in the past week. And of course, just engage. Our meetings of the supervisors, every first Tuesday of the month. We're on social media. You know, one of the problems anymore is anybody gets on social media and they can say anything, and no one fact checks them. You don't need to fact check us. We will tell you what is happening in Goochland County. So strongly encourage you to follow the county if you want to see what's going on, because you'll see people say, what's going on? I saw this, I saw that, I hear it's this. That's how you find out really what's going on. And of course, there's Dr. Slump. Who can say no to that? And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Robinson.
Ma'am, was there a PowerPoint presentation for the schools? He hasn't spoken yet.
Oh, okay.
Give him just a minute.
Okay.
I'm Ellen Robinson, your District 5 school board, and please know that I am always available to you. And right now is my honor to introduce our most distinguished and dignified Superintendent of Goochland County Schools, Dr. Camardi. Please welcome him.
Thank you. I'm going to grab my clicker here. While I'm doing that, I want to just thank Mrs. Robinson. She is among my greatest advocates, and I really appreciate her advocacy. By show of hands, how many of you have children or grandchildren in our public schools? Very good. The rest of you prepare to be amazed by the wonderful work that's happening every day in our public K-12 institutions. You may have heard of the Virginia Literacy Act. It's sweeping legislation that's designed to advance literacy across the Commonwealth. I'm very proud to say that Goochland County Public Schools was well ahead in doing that prior to it becoming legislation. Every spring at one of our elementary schools, we host the Reading Olympics. And this is a friendly competition between our 3 elementary schools for our students to display their proficiencies in literacy. This year, Byrd Elementary School took home the trophy, having won the Reading Olympics. And while we're talking about Byrd Elementary School, because my job is to be the greatest ambassador of our public schools, and in doing that, tonight I'm here to give a state of our schools, and the state of our schools is very strong. Byrd Elementary School also won first place in Lego robotics for core values this past session, and donated over 1,500 pounds of food to Goochland Cares. When we talk about Goochland Elementary School, you may have heard we have a brand new facility in the county up off Bulldog Way, adjacent to the high school, which as of today has over 520 students, which I've been told and believe and confirmed that that's the largest enrollment ever in a single elementary school in the history of our county. The new Goochland Elementary School is a 105,000 square foot facility designed to accommodate up to 700 students. And you may know that we did a redistricting plan that pulled about 87 students from this end of the county and about 40 some odd students from the northwestern end of the county to the center to join the new school. But in addition to opening a new building, Goochland Elementary School has our largest participation in Girls on the Run. This is an opportunity that trains young women in self-advocacy and physical fitness. 24 participants in this past season. We had our Flying Squirrels reading night at the baseball field. Look at these cute kids, guys, at the baseball field. Now, I don't come with puppies and kittens. I'm just going to let you know, I don't come with puppies and kittens, but I do come with a lot of cute kids who are doing a lot of wonderful things. Randolph Elementary School is unique in that it employs a house system where kids affiliate with a house or a team from the time they're in pre-K, remaining through 5th grade. They've got Blades runners, Sky runners, Trail runners, Wave runners, and I'm an honorary Sky runner member, and I tell you, they're very passionate about these houses. Every time I'm there, I get quizzed. Do you remember what team you're on? Gosh, if I say the wrong thing ever, I may not be here to do this next year. Very competitive. In partnership with a lot of our local partners, including the Goochland Education Foundation, there's an outdoor pavilion that's pretty cool that's back in the woods behind Randolph Elementary School, where kids can go and advance their lessons in science or any other content area. I cannot say enough about the English team at Goochland Middle School. Had I come out last year and given this report, I would have had to share that literacy at the middle school was waning just a little bit. In fact, it was red. And the distinctions are green is really, really good, level 1, yellow is progressing, level 2, red is level 3, and nobody wants to be there. In 1 year, we've managed to turn around reading scores and English scores at the middle school by over 20 points. And I'm proud to say tonight that that distinction is now green, level 1, whereas a year ago it was red, level 3. I don't take any of the credit for that. I share that credit with Mr. Mason and his English teaching staff. At the high school, last year they had their first Energize and Engage Day, offering 38 courses. I meet with a student advisory once a month at the high school, and they share with me that this was one of their favorite events from last year. And they asked me just last week when we met, are we going to be able to do that again? And I said, absolutely, we're going to be able to do that again. That's something that was a great day for our students. It built affiliation between them and their school. We received a heavy equipment donation from Sargent, valued at nearly $80,000. This allowed us to retire our previous piece of equipment that was antiquated, and we appreciate our business partners at Sargent and all of our business partners. This gentleman, Delegate Owen, came out and helped us with our mock interviews last spring. Our business partners and community leaders and any members of our community come out and they actually engage our students in interviewing and preparing for jobs. This is a valuable process that gives our students that opportunity to actually sit with a professional and receive feedback on their poise and responsiveness to tough interview questions. And I'm very proud of our business roundtable, which we had last March. And a great number of folks came out to help us in partnership determine how we can train our students to be the type of employees that they need in the field. These 28 students participated in our Career and Technical Education Signing Day. What's amazing about that is they graduated high school on June the 8th. They went to work in the fields of their choice on June the 10th, making very high competitive wages. 28 students. And of course, we had a wonderful graduation ceremony. And I want to tout the class of 2024. 218 students commenced as part of the Goochland High School class of 2024. I'm going to show you a graphic here in a minute that represents that 98% of that cohort graduated. That is a record number. Our dropout rate is less than 1%, 0.9. Now you may be thinking, that math's not mathing, Doc. 98% of the kids graduated, less than 1% of the kids dropped out. Where's the other 1%? The other 1% are kids who were part of the cohort who may still be advancing toward earning their high school credential. They're still with us. 74% of the graduating class earned the highest graduation diploma in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Advanced Studies Diploma. 60 of those 218 students graduated after they had earned their associate's degree from J. Sargent Reynolds Community College. And of those 60, 48 of those kids graduated with honors. That is amazing, amazing feat. I want you to look at this trajectory that shows our graduation. You see that when we started tracking in 2008, a little bit over 8 in 10 students graduated on time. And you see we've had peaks and valleys, and this is the second time that we've crested at 98%. That's due to the hard work of the administration and school counseling department and teachers at our high school. And parents, absolutely, lest we not forget. 100% of our schools are fully accredited. I hope that I'll say something that will garner applause at some point. Thank you. 100% of our schools are fully accredited. And I'm proud to say that based on our last year proficiency scores, we ranked first in the region in reading and 14th in the state. We ranked second in the region in mathematics and 8th in the state. And for context, I know this says 132, but for context, there are 131 school divisions across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Recently, Covington and Allegheny merged. So that's pretty impressive. Thank you, thank you. We're 5th in the region in science, 35th in the state, 4th in the region in history, 13th in the Commonwealth. If you subscribe to niche ratings, and I'm going to share with you, I'm going to have to write my buddies at niche, because when I pulled these data earlier in the month of September, it showed what I'm going to relay to you tonight. And that's that Goochland County Public Schools is 9th in the Commonwealth of Virginia in terms of best school divisions. We're 21 in terms of the district with the best teachers, and we're 27 in terms of the best places for teachers to teach. For the 7th consecutive year, we are the #1 school division in the Metro Richmond area. Thank you. Now, here's where the issue comes in. Because I like to fact check and never want to be out here telling things that aren't completely accurate, I checked Niche's website on, I think it was 2 days ago. And as of the 30th, they had dropped us to 12th. So if you were to look at Niche today, even though our local report says 9th, the report that they release nationally shows us 12th in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'll have to ask them what that's about. But 12th is nothing to scoff at. Again, 131 school divisions. Our enrollment is 2,642 students strong. This is an increased enrollment of 71 students over the end of the last academic year. We have 473 staff members serving those students every single day. We hired 41 new teachers, which represent 18% of our teacher workforce. I'm proud to share with you that on the first day of school, minus one opening in the building trades, for which I'm confident there are fewer than 20 people certified in the state, we had a licensed teacher in front of every single child, every single building. Yes, ma'am. This is the average year of experience for our workforce. 53% of our teachers are between years 0 and 5. 38% between, I'm sorry, this is the total number of teachers. This doesn't add up either. These are the total number of teachers in our teaching corps in these bands. 53 teachers, 0 to 5, 38, 6 to 10, 47, 11 to 15, and you can see the rest of the chart. We've got 12 new courses at our high school. Folks, I'm going to tell you something you may not know. I came here from much larger school divisions and am ever proud of the depth of our course catalog, what we're able to provide for our students in Goochland County, particularly in the career and technical education field. 12 new courses last school year. We've applied and received accolade for artificial intelligence and computer science grants. Last spring when I stood before you, for those of you who were here, we touted that each of our 5 schools were Apple Distinguished Campuses. Now, Goochland County Public Schools is an Apple Distinguished Division. And what that means is that we are a leader in innovation and instructional technology. We received again from the Governor's Foundation, we received the Distinguished Budget Presentation. And again, this is several years in the running for that distinction. Our Student Activity Fund audit. We have 5 bookkeepers across the school division. Each of them received a perfectly clean audit on our student activity accounts. That's an accolade for which we're proud. We've talked about the Goochland Elementary School, but I wanted to show you cute kids. I promised that I'd have a ton of those, and we do. And for whatever reason, this is going in the wrong direction. That's all right. I know it by heart. One of the big things that we talked about when we were together last winter was my advocacy for a market adjustment for our staff. And thankfully, in partnership with our school board and our Board of Supervisors and County Administrator, Mr. Carpenter, we were able to fund a market adjustment for our nearly 240 classroom teachers across the division. And I do want to show, if we can get the presentation going, I'll fast forward. I do want to show what that has meant to our staffing scenario in the school division. I apologize for that. I went backwards and it went haywire on me. And ironically, right after I talked about us being an innovator in technology. Gosh.
That's the students.
That's right, that's the students. I could not have timed that more detrimentally. Thank you, good sir.
There we go.
All right. I'll be a little bit more cautious this time. So basically what the salary adjustments have meant for our school division, we surveyed us in the region compared to 7 other school divisions. We were below the median in almost every band. The only band that we were above the median on was starting salary, which was a good thing because we want to be able to recruit and draw talent. And we were most competitive there. But if you look at the column on your left, this is where we would have ranked had we just done a basic 5% cost of living increase for our 240 classroom teachers. We would have been ranked number 3 at 0. We would have been ranked number 4 from years 5 through 10. We would have been right at a little bit below the median at year 15 and significantly below the median years 20 through 25. Because of our efforts to make a market adjustment for our teachers, we now rank in the upper half at every band of employment. That's a good thing. I believe, thank you. I believe that this effort played a great hand in allowing us to fill all of our vacancies. We were able to recruit teachers from almost every school division that borders our county. We wrestled them from Chesterfield. We got them from Hanover. We got them from Henrico. Not only because this is a wonderful place to teach, but now we're paying a competitive salary. Yes, Delegate?
Did they move into the county when they came to work here? Or did you know?
Regrettably, no. Last year, the number of the percentage of staff members that we have who lived in the county was 48%. I learned this week that that number is now closer to 36% because we hired an influx of folks who don't live in the county. Goochland County Public Schools ranks in the top 3 school divisions in the Metro Richmond area for teacher salaries, thanks to the recent market adjustment. Nearly 60% of our teachers that we surveyed recently indicated that the market adjustment was an influential factor in their decision to remain with the school division. Those data are compelling. And with that, I think we're ready to take questions on either the county or school side.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
I wanted to hear about the statistics of college admissions for the graduating classes.
Yes, ma'am. So it depends on how we look at college admissions. We have the lion's share of our students do leave and advance their education. Some do it through not a 4-year institution, but a 2-year institution if they did not do ACA with us as registered high school students. But the number of kids who leave us and enroll at a 4-year institution of learning is about 57%, almost 6 out of 10. Thank you, good question.
Did I miss anything about dual enrollment?
Dual enrollment is our ACA program. So when I talk about the number of students who participated, those 60 kids who got their associate's degree, those students were dual enrollment students. Between us and...
I believe that Reynolds has indicated that we have the highest dual enrollment program in the college system.
We do.
The small county compared to the big counties.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to hear also about the, I know economic development is big, but agricultural development,
Mm-hmm.
and if the kids who are studying ag go on, and what type of support do we have for the farming community?
Glad you asked. Some of our kids who study agriculture, they take basically 2 pathways. Some of them are among the 28 students that I shared who go into the world of work immediately. Many of them go to programs and study agriculture as undergraduates. Virginia Tech has programs that some of our students subscribe to, and other colleges and universities. We have been asked to explore opening an ag offering in our middle school. And we actually already have ag in our middle school, but this one would be, the ag offerings that we have in our middle school now are pipelines to our middle school programs. They are credit bearing, and our students participate in those courses as well, starting a little bit sooner than the 9th grade year. But our students who do take ag do graduate, and many of them matriculate and go on to study agriculture if they don't enter the world of work in that field.
Are there any programs in place to draw them back to Goochland to support their desire to work in ag, farming, that type of thing? Do you have any partnerships with corporations or anything like that to bring them back?
Not that I'm aware directly. I will say, not with ag, but to give you an idea in another field, we do have a Teachers for Tomorrow program, which I'm always happy to go work with and collaborate with, that kids have decided that they want to be public school teachers, that they are going to go off and get an education degree, and it is our greatest hope that we will be able to lure those students back. I was asked to come and speak to the group a couple weeks ago, and really thought that when I walked in, there'd be like 7 or 8 students. I was just amazed to see there were 22 kids in that cohort. So these are 22 kids, which, if the data holds true, out of the 22, probably 12, 13 of them will actually enroll. Of those 12 or 13, we'll probably get 9 to 10 who will actually matriculate. And of the 9 to 10, we may get 6 who actually enter the workforce as teachers.
Dr. Martin, let me
Yes, sir.
mention that Greenswell, which is the underbrewed ag industry there,
Yes.
has an intern program with the schools and has sponsored a number of students out there at Greenswell. So there is.
I was going to mention that also, though it's not exactly what you're saying, but our Parks and Rec has started our ag fair up again. We had our second one this past few weeks back, and the FFA and the competition now gives our local kids an opportunity to compete when they haven't had that local opportunity for years. And from a few kids to 1 year ago to this year, we had quite a number of kids bringing in their chickens and their livestock for competition. So that's something which is being done, and it's growing among the youth, because you can see how many kids were there this year on the second year we did it.
I know there's Future Farmers of America in the school, but I wonder if this county's gonna try to draw them back.
Well, there's two recent industries, as Mr. Lyle talked about Greenswell, and then HD Meats currently under construction up in Shannon Hill area, which will be livestock, rendering. So that's part of the industry. It's not farming, but it's critical to farming. So the county is trying to support that. Yes, sir, Delegate?
Dr. Moody, what is the, two-part question, what is the current capacity percentage of our schools? And in your projections, is that going to be increasing or decreasing? I know some localities.
Yes, sir.
Decreasing.
Very good question. So what we did when we opened the new school is we actually built capacity at the other 2 schools, because as I mentioned, we drew kids from either end of the county. So right now, Byrd Elementary School probably could max out at about 350 students. There are about 240 students at that school. So you think of a growth capacity of about 110 students in the northwestern part of the county. Not certain what that growth is looking like. I think that with the expansion of the high-speed internet, as Mr. Carpenter has shared, that's definitely going to lend to more people moving to that area of the county. If you look at Randolph, last year Randolph Elementary School had just a little over 400 students. 87 roughly of those students have been zoned out to go to Goochland Elementary School. That school's got a capacity, I believe, of about 420. So there's still room for growth there. And this persists to be the fastest growing portion of the county. And we still have room, believe it or not, even though I mentioned we've got 520 some odd at Goochland Elementary, the capacity of that school is 700. So there's still room to grow in that building as well.
And what's your growth projections that you see coming into the county? Some localities showing that they're increasing their students.
Yeah, that's a difficult variable to put my finger on as a superintendent. And the reason is this. We have lots of neighborhoods that are coming up. And I'm not necessarily sure who's buying the homes. So if people are buying the homes with school-aged children and they enroll their children with us, naturally we could project that we will have or experience higher enrollment. If those homes are being bought by people who either A, don't have school-aged children, or B, have school-aged children whom they private school or homeschool, minimal impact on enrollment. So it's a difficult variable to get your arm around because parents are exercising so many options now, if they have school-age kids, to educate their children. Thank you, sir.
Of the enrollment that you saw, how many of them were coming from District 4 and District 5 into the school system?
Another difficult variable. I will tell you that the lion's share of the 71 that we call new students, 48 of those kids are kindergarten kids. So these are kids who came to us in almost a groundswell back in April when we started enrolling students and thought, wow, all of these kids. And then we thought that's the COVID baby boom. And so 48 of those kids we know are first-time enrollees kindergartners. How many of them are specifically from this area? I will tell you, good question. I will tell you that the lion's share, they split almost evenly between Goochland Elementary and Randolph. Not so many more at Byrd. So if we take 48, probably 22, 26 here.
With all the new single-family homes that are going in this specifically District 4, I mean, you said you can't tell, but we've got a lot of single-family homes, and those people are wanting to move to Goochland because of the environment.
Absolutely.
So they're going to be more single-family, younger people who have invested in their homes out here because they want to be in Goochland.
Yes, ma'am. And our long-term capital improvement plan does include larger, newer facilities in both places, but they're very well down the road. But I believe that the efforts that have been made with the new Goochland Elementary and how we've redistricted allows us some room for growth in our current setup.
I'm talking about specifically in the Centerville area.
Yes, ma'am.
They're going to be going to Randolph. They're not going to be, I mean, you're not going to bus them all the way to.
No, we're not. But what we've done is because of the rezone, those kids who live closer to Courthouse, who were originally going to Randolph, now are zoned to go to Goochland Elementary. And this year we grandfathered our fifth graders, who were rising fifth graders. They were fourth graders last year because we didn't want anybody to have an experience where they would have a single year in a new school. So all of our fifth graders were given the opportunity to stay. And if they had a sibling who was kindergarten through fourth grade, that sibling could stay during the fifth grade year. So Randolph, as you might imagine, had a good number of those kids. So once those kids leave Randolph as fifth graders, and any siblings that they have who are now zoned to go to Goochland go there, that creates more capacity at Randolph. I do believe if the question is, do we have the capacity to match current growth? The answer to that question is yes. If growth accelerates, we've still got good capacity, but time will tell. It depends on who's buying the home, whether or not they have children who are school-aged, and whether or not they're opting to public school or private school their kids, or homeschool their kids.
Well, Mr. Crystal Ball. If you figure that out, let me know.
I'll do my best. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
We have a guest here this evening who asked me to ask her question.
Okay.
And that is the impact in how administration works with our law enforcement in our schools and how decisions are made, the example given if a child says he has a knife. If you would address
Yes, ma'am.
how we work.
Yes, ma'am. I'll start with the first part. We have a wonderful partnership with the Goochland County Sheriff's Office. And thank you. And there are representatives in the back whom, if that was not an accurate assessment, I'm sure they would have shouted out, "He's lying" by now. And I've not heard that. We have an SRO full-time in each of our 5 schools, which is absolutely remarkable. There is a uniformed Goochland County deputy assigned to each one of our 5 schools. Now, to get to the question about what happens if a kid says he has a knife at school. Believe it or not, this happens sometimes under benign or non-threatening circumstances. I'll talk about that first. We had a student, middle of last school year, who came and shared with his administrator, I guess he recognized he had it on the bus, that he had a utility knife. He'd been working with his dad the night before. The utility knife was put in the pocket of the jeans. He got up the following day and wore the same jeans to school. Now he's on a school bus and he realizes, uh-oh, I've got a utility knife. And he self-reported. He went to his administrator upon getting off the bus and he said, "I have something that I shouldn't have in school." Totally benign, totally plausible how that could happen. That student, the contraband was secured by the administrator for a parent to come pick up. That student carried on with the rest of his instructional day without incident, complete normalcy. That happens. Sometimes kids have contraband on them. They recognize it under the same circumstances, but don't self-report. And then another student may see it and report it. Now the dynamic is totally different because the student has the same contraband, might have the same justification for having it. The key piece that's missing in that variable is the piece of self-reporting. And that student may endure consequence for that. We've not had that scenario, but that's a scenario that could happen. On the other side of that, there could be a student, and I'm talking now in terms of possibility, not things that have happened, but there could be a student who comes to school with contraband, knowingly, without the intent to do harm to anybody, just for whatever reason has it. But those things are not allowed on our campuses. Knives, and by code, any knife with a blade beyond 3 inches basically is where we draw the threshold for the consequence. Kids with knives with blades that are beyond 3 inches usually endure a suspension of 10 days with a recommendation for placement, which is a short-term suspension. That's the maximum. A 10-day suspension is the maximum that school-level administration can issue. The recommendation for long-term suspension, it comes up to someone in my office. That suspension can be anywhere from 11 to 364 days, and by code constitute a long-term suspension, or it could be an expulsion, which rests with the school board. And that's beyond a year. I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, I'll try again. Yes, sir.
Comparison, if you can give us a fair assessment, it's a known fact that the pandemic really affected the children, all ages. So a simple question I have is, can you give us a fair assessment as to where we are now?
Yes.
As compared to where we were 3 years ago?
Yes, sir. So Goochland experienced regression in literacy and numeracy coming right out of the pandemic. That's known. We weren't exempt from the perils of everybody else in the state. But our students now are achieving at pre-pandemic levels. They are. As I just showed you, we're ranking high in the state now. That's not to imply at all that there's still not room for us to get better. Because if I show you, which I did a little bit ago, 82% of our kids are exceeding benchmarks and state standards for reading, that means that 18% of them are not. And we're working in many ways, numerous ways with numerous partners to fill in those gaps for those students. But holistically, our students are achieving at pre-pandemic levels. And that's a trend that began last academic year.
One of the things I've learned is you start on time and you end on time. We're at 6:58, and so both of these gentlemen will continue to take questions, and hopefully they'll take the questions and Neil and I don't have to. But Michael, yes, sir.
I'll just say this is the best one I've been to, so thank you guys both for
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Saxon.
Our fire chief is here, and I did not see him sneak in, and of course, Major and Captain are here, and they're making sure that we keep the line and represent those guys.
Mr. Lyle, there's actually, I regret, and Dr. Camardo, we all forgot the most important thing, the cookies.
Well, and Dr. Camardo's going to get to talk about where those cookies came from.
First thing I had to do was make sure that we had cookies. We did not in the winter here, and it was a big to-do. And when I got out of my truck tonight, I looked at Mr. Carpenter and I said, please tell me there are cookies inside. And we both agreed that had there not been cookies, neither of us would have been here to do this. But our culinary arts students bake the cookies. Chef Erlenbaugh leads at that program, and we hope that you will grab some and take them home with you, because we'd rather not, but those are due entirely to our culinary arts students.
Chief, would you have any comments you want to make since you're here, or anybody from the Major, from the Sheriff's Department? I mean, we've already flogged the app as well as we could, but coming from you, it carries one more thing.
Thank you, Mr. Lal. I appreciate that. Well, yeah, a couple things actually I would like to say. One is our fire rescue show is coming up Saturday night, October the 12th. Gates open at 5 o'clock at Beachland High School. There's no charge for admission. We have something for everyone. We have food trucks. We have about 40 exhibitors. We have live fire demonstrations, live EMS demonstrations, as well as fireworks. Well, we didn't want to emphasize the fireworks too much. Small fireworks. Small fireworks. Thank you, Mr. Lal. The other thing that I would just say is that National Fire Prevention Week starts Saturday. It runs from October 6th to the 12th. It's the theme this year is smoke alarms, make them work for you. The goal is to install smoke alarms, test smoke alarms, and replace smoke alarms every 10 years. They don't last forever, and of course, replace your batteries at least once a year or sooner if you'd like to. And anyone who needs a smoke alarm, then we certainly have those available at no cost to our citizens, as well as we always are taking applications for volunteers. And without anything other question-wise, I'll step aside. So, thank you.
I've got two questions. First of all, I live in Partridge Hill, and there's a gas transmission line next to our property.
Yes.
And it runs down under the river into, I guess that's Powhatan or whatever. What is the requirement for maintenance of the gas transmission of NiSource? How often are they supposed to maintain the line? And I can tell you that I have not seen them maintain the line on the floodplain in probably 10 years. So they're ignoring that area when they do other areas. My other question is
Well, let me just say, that is such an easy question. I'm going to let the county administrator answer that. But that was a hard question.
Okay.
And the answer to that is, first of all, I don't know, but I can find out. They're under requirements that are mandated not by the
Chief
county,
knows.
but
Chief knows, yeah.
I have a good idea. I can't give you the exact particulars, but we've had training in the last 6 months or so from Columbia Gas and looking at those. And a couple of ways they do that. They cut the pipelines. Okay, they cut the grass on. And if there's ever a situation where there's dead vegetation, then that's a reason to look further, because that could be indicative of a leak. They fly the lines with helicopters, and they look at those to make sure. And they also send through the lines, which are called pigs. That's also something that's used to separate the different types of products that go through the line.
I know all that. I'm wondering about the clearing of the land so that they actually can do the observation. Is there a county agreement for doing it like every 5 years, or
Those are not mandated by the county. That'd be mandated by probably all the way up to the federal government mandates those, with the state as well.
Okay.
DEQ and those. I'll be glad to find that for you.
Okay, I would like that.
Sure.
The other thing is, we've got, the train running along the James River, and occasionally I understand they transport hazardous material, and I think they're supposed to notify the sheriff's department if that's, or the fire department, if they do that, and I'm wondering if they are indeed doing that.
You know, it depends on the type of material. I will tell you that Major East is a former CSX police officer, and he probably can shed a lot of light on that. That's the type of example of the type of skill and talent that we have in the sheriff's office. That was a previous position that he held prior to coming back to the sheriff's office.
So, if something were to happen, the best thing to do is dial 911 first, and it'll come to the sheriff's office, and then we'll get the appropriate resources coming to you. But if you happen to be at a railroad crossing somewhere, they have those little blue signs on the crossing gates. There's a phone number on there. That's 1-800-232-0144, I think, if I remember correctly. But there's a phone number there for CSX police. You call them directly, and they'll be able to get the right resources out there. But they're probably going to call us anyway, so just dial 911.
But do they notify you if they're going to be moving a load to the county?
The railroad?
Yes.
No, the railroad, they run whatever they need to open up tracks, and then if they have a problem, they'll call us,
But they don't notify you if they're transporting hazardous material
No, ma'am.
or radioactive material?
Railroads are again, going under federal control mandates going back to the 1870s, and the laws for railroads and chiefs are very different than about anything else. But the county's got no ability to do really any control, guidance, or direction.
It would be unusual for a radioactive shipment to come down those tracks. I've been notified of some of them.
they run a bunch of stuff, and they don't notify local police about that, or even state police about it. They run it, so they have their own police department that if it is something that's gonna be a high threat or high profile thing, the police department there will follow it, shadow it, they have their own protection on them. But they have their own hazmat team. The railroads are pretty self-sufficient, so they kind of have most of it themselves. But if it were to derail or have some sort of incident, they're gonna call us and bring us into the system.
And guys, keep asking, but I think, thank you for coming out tonight, get some cookies and water. If you've got more questions, come up and ask us. Thank you very much.